And that's
a crazy looking deer for you.
January 22nd.
Jesus.
After season had already ended, and I was just like, oh, what am I doing?
All right, guys. So that leads us into this. You know, everybody, welcome back to the American Bow Hunter. I got Ryan Dole here. And we're just talking about, dude, like when we talk about like bow hunting and hunting in general and targeting a specific buck, that's what we're covering today. And Ryan, you've got a ton of experience. I mean, you came highly recommended, right? So Joe Long is a good friend of both of ours.
Absolutely.
And I've done quite a few episodes with Joe, and he's like, man, you need to reach out to Ryan. I'm like, dude, yeah, send me some information. Let me link up with him. And we did, and we had a little bit of conversation going on, kind of what we were going to cover. And, you know, you started talking about just all the amount of sheds that you found. And then you just got back from New York.
Yep.
And, you know, so we're going to cover a lot of that today. I mean, if you're looking to really hone in on and, you know, specific tactics when it comes to targeting a specific buck, this is the episode. We're going to dive into all of it. We got a lot of stuff on the table to unpack. Absolutely. And this is all from one deer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just one.
Yeah. Unreal, man. So let's take it back a little bit before we really get into this. As far as like bow hunting goes, like how long have you been in the game?
I started bow hunting in I'm originally from a small town called Cattaraugus, New York.
Is that upstate New York?
It is. It's like an hour south of Buffalo.
Yep. Okay.
So right in the western part of New York. Bow hunting, you couldn't start till you're 14. So legally, I mean, I had a bow probably when I was 12, you know, 2 years of practice, but I mean, my dad would always bring me hunting. Was 3-4 years. As soon as I could walk, he would be taking me in the woods. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would be sitting in the bottom of it. He had homemade wooden homemade wooden stands that he would make, and I'd sit in the bottom of the platform as like a little kid, and he would be smoking deer with his bow when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
So he's always bow hunted too?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So it's deep with you guys.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, he's in his older age. He's set back a little bit, and he's now, you know, kind of just gun hunts, and he's never been like a trophy hunter. He's just been loves deer meat.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dude was a killer. I remember him as a killer. It didn't take long for him to go find a deer and get one.
Well, it seems like that was passed on, man.
Yeah,
because, you know, what we look at, and that was what I was so intrigued with just a few minutes that we kind of talked prior to this, was just the amount of effort you put into this. And it's never off for you. It's like we talked about, it's 365. That switch is always on, and you're always kind of building a case or building a strategy in order to capitalize on these deer. And one of the things I noticed with guys like you that are super successful or ultra successful repetitively is the patience side of things that it takes, which is my biggest downfall. Dude, yeah. And you made a good point. You're like, dude, these like mature deer are unforgiving.
They are. They will. I mean, if you go into a big buck's or a old smart deer's bedroom and you're just putting all your scents all over in it, I mean, that deer is not it's not gonna be the same place to him, because that has always been his comfort zone. If someone comes inside of his comfort zone and pushes him out, he's not gonna come back in there. And if he does, it's gonna be he's gonna be very hesitant of that area. That's now not that comfort zone that it used to be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So when it comes to this, like, so this deer is from here on the East Coast.
Yep.
In North Carolina, right? So Jacksonville area, Onslow County.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you were talking about just the shed hunting side of things, right?
Yeah.
50 plus sheds a year. So you spend a lot of time in the woods, but let's talk about this deer specifically here. What's the history with it, and how did this start and develop?
So first picture I had of him was in 2019. That was actually this year. He really wasn't on my radar then, and he still had something that looked very similar to this. I didn't have this side off this year, but very similar to that. I didn't realize how big he was when I was getting the pictures, because they're very distance pictures. There's just something going on the one side, and I was just like, well, it doesn't look like he's got a big frame, but there's just I don't know what that is. Like, there's something crazy going on. And it wasn't until this year that he actually gave me a front center picture one time, and I was like, holy cow. This deer is one of the coolest deer I've ever seen. So in 2020, I didn't hunt him in 19.
And that says a lot, because you've hunted all over.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I've never seen anything. This thing's just gnarly.
Dude, yeah.
And for the longest time, I still don't even know how to score this. Like, I've gotten opinions and I've heard people say how you score it, but I mean, honestly, score goes, it's just a cool deer.
Dude, yeah,
The coolest deer.
honestly, it really is, man. When you brought him in, you know, you bringing stuff out of the truck and you just kept bringing them. And I'm like, is this from one deer? Dude, you're like, yeah, this is a history from this one guy that I've been tracking for, it's been, I mean, how many years? You said 2019?
Yeah. And I found him dead last shed season. So this past January, I want to say.
Yeah.
So it was 2025 when I found him this past shed season, but he died at the end of last season. So the end of 24, because I found him. I mean, he was just getting ready to shed. You can see at the bases that,
Yeah.
because those were that's what his rack looked like. That last year we were allowed to have cameras where I had it at. And that's what he looked like. So he just died at the end of shed season last year. And I hunted him for a whole year of 2024 to 2025, and he was not alive. He was dead. And I knew he was dead. I just was going to all the places that I knew where he lived during the times of year, just try and find him.
Right.
I knew he was dead. But during season, I wasn't going to admit that just because I was like, well, he already pulled a fast one on me before in the 22 season or 23 season when he had all the gnarly drop ton kickers and stickers going off this side, that he was just avoiding my cameras. So I thought there was a possibility that he may have just slightly moved a little bit. And so that's why I was just in all those areas. I was just hunting until right where it all started, right where I found him. And I was just like, that's where I found his first shed, literally maybe 15 yards from where he was dead.
So that entire time, that was his core area. Like that was where he stayed for the most part.
And it was just absolutely so thick. There's no way you could get in there without that deer knowing. It's briars, thick, got to crawl into it. Just an absolute, terrible.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like, would you say that's kind of the normal when it comes to like these more mature deer?
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
Like it, and as far as like getting in on them is almost impossible without, because they have everything to their advantage when they set up with, as far as bedding goes, right?
Yeah.
Like from cover to the wind, concealment, you're not going to get in there on top of them.
No. And the tough thing about here is the wind is not consistent. So in order to kill these deer, get up on them, and I've had 2 run-ins with him. I should have killed him this year. I had him at 15 yards.
And what happened?
Complacency got me.
Oh, dude. So
it was raining, and that morning I knew it was going to rain. I don't know why I brought the shotgun with the scope. It was gun season. I'd been carrying the bow all season. And I was just lazy. I didn't want to bring the bow. And I was just like, I want to bring the gun because I know it's going to rain. And I mean, if he comes in or anything comes in, at this point, it was around November 10th-ish, I would say, 2022 season. And I'd been hunting him hard September, October, November. And it was just the point in the season that it shouldn't been when I was having my pity party for me. Like, I'm just over it hunting for him, because that was the time that he came right in, did it. I mean, just like the book. Well, all the cameras always, like, during those dates, there were specific dates. He would daylight, you know, right during the rut, he was going to check his scrapes in his core areas. Every freaking morning, it would always be during those 3 days that he was checking them during daylight. And it was raining. I would say it was probably an hour after legal shooting light, but real gloomy, so it was hard to see. And it was pouring rain. And I was in my little cocoon, just kind of looking down at the ground, just trying to stay dry. And I like look up because I thought I seen something like kind of flash by my camera. And I was looking, I was like, man, I think that's a deer. Oh, yep, it's a deer. Cool. There's a deer. Here it is, right here, 20 yards in front of me. And I was in such a tight area that you don't get to really see the deer well. And I seen it was a big deer, but I didn't know what deer it was. And I could tell it was a buck. I just seen his 4-point side, because that's the only side I could see. And he was sitting there messing up a scrape. And I was trying to get up my binos. Absolutely a joke. Couldn't see out of them. So
they're just here, just full of water,
with my oily fingers trying to wipe off this lens. It's not working. And I'm just like, whatever, you know, put those back. And I was like, let me use the shotgun. Just as bad. And as soon as he pulled his head up and turned and looked, I seen it was him. And I was like, oh no, we got to do something. And I have nothing dry. I'm sitting here trying to like dry this, and he's walking by me at 15 yards. And my only last shooting lane, just big lane too, like 12 yards across, wide of a lane. And he goes walking right through. This is 15, 20 yards away with a shotgun. And I'm sitting here trying to clean off this scope as watching him just disappear out of my life as quick as he walked into it. And he gets up to the next scrape, and there's this just big tree, and it's down. This scrape's downwind. I knew I was torched as soon as he got there. And he gets to this scrape, and he starts doing it. And I see his head on one side of the tree. At this point, we got the gun good, but
day late, dollar short, buddy.
yeah,
Oh my
he
gosh.
caught my wind, and he just about faced and walked directly into that swamp, like backstepped. Didn't even turn around, just like backstepped in line with that tree. And I just had to get a piece of him with that gun. I mean, he was 20 yards, and he literally backstepped on that tree, and I couldn't reach out far enough to get around a shot. Ugh,
dude,
it was terrible.
That's crazy how just different a mature deer operates and thinks and moves versus, your younger deer. I mean, he didn't make a noise.
No.
It was just, he was like, I got to get out of here, and I got to do it as stealthily as I possibly can.
Like backstepping out of there. I never seen anything like it. Because if he would have turned around, he would have exposed himself on either side of that tree, and he straight backed up. And I was just like, what's going on here?
Jesus. So let's talk about like target buck strategy, right? Like from the beginning. What for you, whenever it comes to like initially just defining a target buck? I mean, what is that in your opinion?
I like crazy stuff.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they got a crazy rack, if they got cool brow tines or guard tines, whatever you call them, I'm about the cool deer. But I mean, it's got to be a big cool deer too, just something unique. I like unique deer.
So when we talk about like, for example, like North Carolina, like what is big in your opinion? Obviously, this dude was massive. For North Carolina.
I'm still trying to figure it out myself, honestly. Okay. But I mean, I consistently kill some, I think, pretty nice bucks for the area.
I would agree.
A lot of people think they're monsters in my eyes. I mean, they're good, but these deer just don't get the racks like they deer do up north, just because I think nutrition, they're not corn fed. These aren't,
right.
But I would say big deer 130s is a big deer for this area in my book.
Like consistent, like an average good. So whenever you define, like you're like, whenever you go to find a target buck, your strategy starts with, I'm assuming, trail cameras and boots on the ground.
Yeah. So my season actually starts January 2nd.
Dude, so
that's when shed season, this is when I put the most time in the woods. Like, a lot of people always ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? You're lucky. Like, you're the luckiest person I know. Like, they don't understand. And my true friends like Joe Long, people that are close to me know, like, from January to about April, because April is when I'll go to Arizona and Colorado to go look for elk sheds. I just have an addiction.
Travel out there for elk sheds?
Yeah.
Dude,
So I've been putting in those units, and it's me scouting those units for when I get drawn. I don't want to be that person when I get drawn that I've never stepped foot in there, and I have a set of almost a 400-inch bull in there.
Dude, that's a different level of preparation that I think most people don't even consider.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about guys like you and like some of the other friend group that we have that are mutual friends that are consistently successful, when we talk about luck, that's not the reality of it whatsoever, man. It's the effort put in prior.
They just don't understand. They don't understand.
Which, I mean, you've got to be dedicated to that, because it's, I mean, it's easy to like really like burn yourself out. And then, like you said, like pity party, you're like, oh man, things just aren't going well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny, man. So you start off January 2nd, after the season's over, your boots on the ground.
I'm finding my next buck.
You're finding your next spot.
That's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to find the sheds. And the thing is in the end of the season, specifically around here in Jacksonville, I found there's certain areas that deer will drop sheds way sooner than other areas. And I used to have a theory on it, and I think it's a pretty good theory, but it just how much stress those deer have before dropping it. And on base, they used to do the dog hunts.
Right.
In certain zones, they would drop way, way, way sooner than others. And that's, you know, how I would always find some sheds super early. People are like, how are you finding sheds? It's like, well, I go to the areas that the deer had the most stressful years, and I always find sheds. Heck, I find sheds around Christmas every time in that area of Verona, Sandy Run. Always, I would find them in December, January. After January, like they're all shed down there.
Really?
Completely. Yep.
Just you think the stress and the pressure on the
Yeah.
animal just causes them to
Yeah.
lose
Because
that much?
Maine side, they'll hold them all the way into March. I mean, I've seen deer. I mean, I'm out there every day during shed season. Like I say shed season because it's a season to me. Like from January to end of March, I'm looking every day somewhere on base or somewhere out in town to find that next target buck. And also, like, it gives me all the pins for the next year. So, like, I'll go in an area and I found it typical here that a lot of the deer in late season are there during early season. I mean, that's no surprise for most people, but so if I'm in there in that late season, walking all those areas and finding those pins, it's just giving me somewhere to start for next year. Especially if I find some sheds off a deer that I'm like, oh, this is totally going to be my target buck. We're going after this and we're going to dedicate this. It's just gotten a little more difficult for me because where I hunt, we can't use trail cameras anymore. It's been like 2 years now, two seasons.
So, yeah.
And it's definitely changed the game and made it way more difficult for me. And it's had to make me, you know, during shed season, boots on the ground much harder in there finding it. And it's hard to, you know, specifically try to pin where these deer are off these sheds, I find, because I've got no camera data to be able to tell me. It's just all off my instincts. And I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot harder. And it still can be done. It's just you got to be out there to figure out where those deer are moving. If you don't have the cameras, like I didn't put enough time in August to be able to really see where they were summering and moving to be able to pinpoint where I wanted to hunt some of those deer at, but also some of the deer where I want to hunt haven't been open like at all on base. That's the biggest problem. It's way harder than people think. Like if you're specifically targeting deer like this, the area that he was in was hardly ever open. And I knew certain times he daylighted always every year, but it was never open for me to get in there. And I would get the pictures on my camera, him just going by every camera down his whole loop essentially. And it's just like every year, like I just pray it's open during this time. It never was, you know, so, other than this one time. And I was just complacent.
Complacency kills or doesn't kill.
Yeah. I got another, you know, complacency story with my out west trip. I was telling you about the mountain lions too. I mean, it does. Complacency. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, just the amount of stuff that we can cover is crazy, man. Cause like I said, you've been all over, you're so, I mean, in tune with everything, and you take it to another level that I think most people have honestly no idea, or, you know, just can't comprehend. So, you know, you start early, and obviously now you can't run cameras at all.
Cameras in general. Yep.
So, I mean, does that deter you wanting to?
Kind of. I'm in an indifferent right now. I'm like in a spot of where I kind of want to find some private to be able that I can find something to chase, but then it's also pulling me away because I like the challenge of it. You know, base isn't public land,
right?
But I mean, it's crazier than any public land I've been on.
I believe that.
There's a lot of people that hunt base, and there's a lot of people that mess up areas, and you know, it is what it is. But there's way more pressure there than some areas I've hunted in public land in many other states.
So what about when it comes to like public land here? Like what's your thoughts?
That's my next. I'm going to dip into it.
Yeah.
It's just, the dog hunting deters me. They just run it out, and it's just something I don't want to invest time into. And it's a way of hunting. I don't mind it. Like, it's not my particular, there's things that are good about it, and there's things that are bad about it, I believe. But, for me, me chasing specific deer, it's just not conducive for me to even want to go into that.
So is that everything for you? So like every season you've got to lock on a specific deer that you're after.
Yeah.
And that's your whole focus for the season.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep from burning out with that? Like that's the
It's
hardest
tough.
because it's not like you can
It's
just
tough.
go in on a whim and just say, I'm going to hunt today. It's like everything's got to line up or
Yep.
you're going to ruin that essentially the season for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. It's not ruined. It's just different way of attacking
Yes,
it. Just got to refine them
that's
because I
right.
will. I'll if it's a deer worth my time that I really want to go after, I will invest all the time into it. Like I got a up and comer that I found a shed off of last year. It's got 6 points on it, straight 5, and it's got a kicker off this base like that long. Real, I'd say it's a 2.5, 3.5-year-old deer, young deer. I actually seen him on the hoof. This season, I didn't want to go in there because I know he's 3.5-ish, 4.5-ish. I don't even want to see what he looks like because I'm sure it's nice. I just want to get his sheds and see what he looks like to know if I'm going to go in there and start hunting him next year or not. Because I got his core area pretty figured out, and it's just from that time, like, January, February, just being all in there where he's at, figuring out what his foot tracks look like. Because I also knew what his hoof looked like in the scrapes because I'd seen it so long. And when I seen it wasn't in the scrapes, I knew he was gone. But he had a real one hoof was longer than the other. So he had like a overbite for about like an inch.
Dude,
not an inch, like a half an inch.
That's a different level of detail
Mm-hmm.
than most people I've ever talked to.
All the detail I can find on
that is
deer.
insane. So, okay, so you're finding these. You find a core area, right? You know, a deer is in this. The deer you're after is in this area. Let's say you can run your cameras. You run your cameras based off of the sign that you're seeing. Is that where you hang them?
Yeah, I like to initially find a communal scrape somewhere or a rub post that has been there for years. Because there's pines that they'll rub on year after year after year after year. Anything that's a communal scrape, rub post, I start there, and then I will try to find every choke point trail I can to narrow down trail crossings.
So define a choke point. Is that where multiple trails meet?
Yep, where multiple trails meet, and maybe where the terrain kind of pushes deer to certain spots that has to funnel them through. For instance, like I run a lot of camera swamp bottoms, things of that nature that, the terrain forces the deer to go through certain choke points, things like that I know during the rut where deer are going to be cruising. I'll always have a bunch of cameras in those areas, where cruising is going to occur, just so I know, where those deer are running those loops or where those deer are coming from and where they're going to, just trying to figure out the directions.
So what about whenever it comes to, you've identified those areas, and I'm assuming you're trying to identify where these deer are bedding, right? So is bedding consistent with the mature buck? Like, is it a consistent bedding area, or are you looking?
No, it's different.
Okay.
With him anyways, he lived in a core area, but it was never the same. It depended on the wind where he would end up that night. And it was different every night. Like it wasn't.
So he didn't, it's not like, oh, this is his bed, I'm going to wait it out. So it didn't work that way.
No, not at all. Yeah. Because I had at one point almost 30 cameras in the area. Yeah. In the area that he lived in. So like I had a pretty good idea of his travel corridors, and I would write down after, because the area wouldn't be open often. So I'd only get in there maybe once a month to check cameras, and like I couldn't get all 30 sometimes in one day. Like,
so hold on, you would go in and physically check the cameras?
Yeah.
Like you would pull an SD card?
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like that disrupted?
Oh, 100% did.
Okay.
But there's no cell service in there. Oh. It was just, I tried running cell cameras and it just wasn't.
So it was nasty in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a dump.
So, right there tells you, you've really got to be able to put in and go to, I'm assuming areas most people aren't willing to access. That's why he's there.
Yeah.
There's just no pressure. And but it's hard to hunt it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And the craziest thing was though, he lived, and I've noticed this, some of the bigger deer, he lived right off the road, main road, 100 yards for the most part is where he spent his life. It's because he knew it was safe. He couldn't be hunted right there. That's what I believe anyways. But just in the thickest dump of a place he could find 100 yards off the road.
And there was nothing, in order to act, is anywhere you access that he could see or smell you.
Yes. It was
genius.
And I had to go terrible ways to get into the back door just to be able to be somewhere or come in a way that he couldn't hear me or see me coming, because anywhere on that road you park, one, I had a pretty loud truck, so that, and I mean, he can see you up, and it was right on the corner of a road. He could see, I mean, he had the best vantage point in that whole entire area.
So your access was everything in order to get there.
Yeah.
Dude, so
It was terrible to get there
really,
to do it right.
So define doing it right for you. Like, I mean, because it's very easy. It's like, oh man, I just need to get out of the woods. I need to get there as quick as I can. And you're just, you shortcut it. And then I don't know why I didn't see anything.
Shortcut never works.
It never does.
No.
So when it came to accessing it, because you've defined his core area, which how big was his core area? Like
almost 2 square miles.
So it's pretty large.
Yeah.
So in order to access this, like how far, like as far as like parking goes, and then when you started your access into the woods, I mean, how far away and what was the area that you were walking through like in order to get to where you wanted to? Was it difficult?
I prepped trails into areas, so I wasn't, because I mean, it's super thick, so I wouldn't cut much, but I'd cut enough that I can slip into those places and not be brushing everything up beside myself to try to mitigate noise as much as possible.
Right.
So I would have little trails that would go into the pockets that I would hunt, where there was just somewhere along that swamp transition.
So were you as worried about your infill and then your exfil as well? Like, was that a critical?
And it sucked in there, because the problem is I would hunt it on sometimes the wind wasn't ideal, just because I hadn't been in there in months or a month. And it's just like, I got to get in there and at least see what it's like in there, because I got to check cameras as well on top of it. And, you know, that more or less is probably what was the reason why I didn't kill him instead of finding him dead during shed season, is I was getting all those cameras and checking that and blowing out those spots, and just to get all that stuff in hopes the next year I'd be able to get in there during those days. It just never lined up. But one time, and I slipped up on it. I didn't, like I said, I seen him twice on the hoof. That time in the stand, and then the other time right on the edge of the road. But out of the amount of times I've driven by on that corner, I've got cameras on both sides. I don't have now. I had cameras on both sides of the road. He'd be across that road all night long. And out of the amount of times I've driven by there, I only seen him one time in like 6 years. It's like he knew, you know, and I mean, the only time I seen he was chasing a doe, go figure, right? But I mean, he wouldn't be out there to be seen. And he lived next to the road. He was on each side of the road multiple times a night. But I highly doubt anyone ever seen him.
Wow. Dude, so, yeah, I mean, because he was how old? You had him aged, right?
Yeah, 9.5.
9.5 years old. I mean, to me, that's insane to think about, especially here.
Yeah.
That animal was able to survive that long and not slip up at some point and somebody have an opportunity on him. I mean, or he get hit by a car. Like,
and that's another reason why I was so invested in this deer, is that like I felt like he was a ghost. Like I was like, man, this deer is like, I cannot figure him out. I'm normally very good at figuring out deer, and I just couldn't figure him out. And then when I did, it's like, okay, I got him figured out. Now I just need the times to line up, the area to open while he's daylighting during those times. It just never did. Right. And so I would just go out on limbs, or I'd do things that I shouldn't do just because it's like, well, I can't kill him if I'm not in there. I'll come at it a different way. Like I understand, or like I knew where and when he would be in certain areas. So instead of using my access points that, you know, are conducive for the wind, because the wind's not right for me to go in that way, I would go in blind. And I would go in an opposite way, that the wind is good, but I would sound like a herd of elephants coming through the swamp. So, and we all see how it worked out. I didn't end up killing him, but, you know, I found him dead. So, I mean, in those nights, or those mornings, mostly didn't always pan out. I mean, there's a couple times that it worked out. I ended up shooting a really nice buck in there, going in blind one morning, and I thought it was him. And it's weird. He's actually, he had a messed up pedicle like this one, but not as extreme. It was kind of like ovaled like this big, and his base was all messed up. And I thought it was him because it was the same side, and he had a prong, like the two just like this. I thought I killed him. He coming through, hitting the scrape that he always hits. And I don't think that's genetics, but my goodness, it was 100% like a deer that just had the same kind of messed up pedicle, not as extreme as his,
Yeah. Interesting.
and the same exact coming to the same exact scrape during the same exact times that he daylighted. So I really thought I got him that 2 years ago in that swamp, and then that's why I quit like pressing on him hard. And that was the year that he had the drop times, the kickers actually, and the craziness that I was
Yeah.
just like, I thought you were dead. I thought I killed you in October.
Got you, buddy.
And here you are alive. And I was just like, wow, the biggest you've ever been. And I have not even been hunting in there for you because I thought I got you.
Jesus. So how critical do you think it is like when we look at, you know, wind, we look at thermals, we look at how quiet you are accessing, we look at just your access. I mean, how does that stack up for you? Is like when it goes to you making entry into the woods, and we're talking about on a mature deer that is like in tune with their area. And like you said, they're very unforgiving. Like they if you screw the opportunity up, typically they're going to shift.
Yep.
Like what's the most important thing for you? To not be seen, not to be heard, not to be smelled? How would you stack it up? Or is it all equally important in your eyes when it comes to a deer like that?
The stars got to align.
Right.
Everything's got to align. And, I mean, it all starts with having plenty of time to get in the woods. If you're rushing to get to the woods,
Don't tell me that.
if you're rushing to get there or you're running behind in the mornings, you got to be a morning person. If you want to get in there, you got to be a morning person. You got to get in there early. And that's the most annoying thing all my friends say about me is like, if I'm going in after big deer, I'm going to get, I'm not saying like midnight or 1, 2, 3 in the morning, but I mean, you got to give yourselves, I like to be in the stand, like ready to go or set up my saddle an hour before daylight or shooting light.
Before shooting light. So that's typically like another 30 minutes prior to.
Yeah. Just so it gives you time. And also, I mean, if you get there 30 minutes late, you're still 30 minutes before. So that's just my standard. Is like, if I give myself enough time, then I won't rush myself getting in somewhere.
Yeah. I think anytime you're rushed doing anything, it's never as good as it could be. Right. I mean, no matter what you do in life, if you have to rush to do it, you're missing something, and usually something critical. And when it comes to hunting mature deer and old deer that's been around in that area forever, you know, you screw up something, and that's, you know, that can be the season. Yeah. And I think that's the big difference too, with like, when we talk about like this type of deer, this caliber of deer, like you just can't make those mistakes. And I think that's my biggest problem. Like, I'm like, oh, I got him on camera, dude. Yeah. Once went in there and hunted it and blew him out. It's so just,
if I could do it, you know, do this all over again, I think more or less the best, like, you know, getting there an hour early, but also don't hunt if it's any questionable wind.
Dude, so you don't give them, you don't take a marginal wind at all.
No, you just can't.
So that's my
Unless it's during the rut. If it's during the rut, I will hunt marginal everything, because the bucks aren't going to their specific trails and routes. They're doing, you know, they're checking bedding areas. So if you put yourself in a position that's in between bedding areas or up against any choke points or things of that nature, the bucks are just going to those bedding areas, not any specific trails. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. That's it. And the wind's going to be crappy, you know, in those situations if you're hunting in between bedding areas or things like that. In some manner, like, you can't predict where that deer is going to come from or how he's chasing that deer. So, yeah, I don't even consider the wind during the rut, honestly. Do I try to put it in my favor? Absolutely. But I don't know how many times I've had big bucks come in downwind. And actually, this past time in New York, it was craziest thing. I had a buck bigger than the one I shot come in first, dog and a doe right at me. She came right underneath me, downwind of me, everything. And she was tongue out panting. And it was kind of just up on this ridge a little bit, but just right. I mean, we were almost eye level of where he was at in resemblance. It kind of was a gradual hill that came down. And he just put on the brakes at like 50 yards and just started blowing. He caught my wind 100%, but he's looking at this doe, like stomping his feet and sidestepping on this, like, I've never had that happen before. Like, he 100% smelled me. He was 100% downwind, but he was just so worried about that doe that was underneath me that he wasn't leaving. He was sitting there blowing like, "Yep, I smell you," and he was just like pacing back and forth.
Get out of here, bro.
And then as soon as that doe like walked out from, you know, downwind, he just big hook around me, right back on her, and just took her wherever he went with her. And it's just like, wow.
Dude,
He was full sprint, grunting, just going after this doe and just put the brakes on. It was like, oh. But I mean, he was bigger than the one I shot. He was a pretty big deer.
Yeah. Jeez. So, I mean, when we talk about wind, and that's one thing that I think that's so hard for most people is the wind, right? I mean, that's the biggest struggle. And we said it earlier, like the wind here where it's very inconsistent. I noticed it seems like a lot of sucking and then blowing.
Yep.
Like there's a shift. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Constant.
And then I'm like, there goes the hunt. Like that's like, what's the solution to that? And like
hunt the water.
Hunt the water.
That's how I've found the most consistent wind. If I find properties or anything that are around water, I just hunt the edges of the water because it always pulls. And if you get on the edges of the water, at least you'll have something consistent. Maybe the wind does blow deeper in to the woods, but at the end of the day, during prime time, the last hour, it's always going to pull out towards that water. I feel like in most of the places around here. So I just try to hunt next to water for the most part. But some of the areas that like there was no water for me to hunt him there. So I mean, I just had to deal with it. But if you can, that's the most consistent winds I've found is by the intercoastal, you know, anything by the water.
So whenever you watch a deer like this utilizing the wind, like whenever you see them, are they typically like the wind is in their face, it's at their back, they're cutting the wind? What do you see a lot of with areas that you have access to hunt? Like is there any kind of like pattern that you've noticed?
I mean, the only things that I've noticed with that in those regards is they will, like it seems every year they daylight during certain times looking for the does and the scrapes and such, but they're always going to keep the wind to their face, you know, coming through those bedding areas. So even if you have that deer in that specific area, you know, at that times, or like, you know, that deer is in there, if the wind's not conducive for him to be scent checking the bedding areas, he's going to take it in the manner that it's most conducive for him to see if there's a hot doe in the area. And I think, you know, that just goes into everything. Because I mean, it depends on the maturity of the deer. You know, 2.5-year-olds, they're just still trying to figure that out. Like watching, you know, their dad or granddad, you know, come through the areas like, why are you coming through this way? That's weird. Like, why are we doing this? I think it just depends on the maturity of them.
Yeah. No.
I mean, eventually, if they get to that age of 3, 4, 5, they're ever gonna walk with the wind in their favor. That's just how it goes. And you know, that's what he did. It just slowly goes. I think just like us, you know, the older we get, more mature, more experience we get. Same thing with them. I've noticed many 2.5, 3.5-year-old very nice deer that most people are never gonna pass up. And I'm just like, you need a couple more years.
Yeah. No.
Like you're walking in a man, like I've seen completely walking downwind of me, not caring one bit or hitting my scent. And it's just like, they just ain't got the experience, or not. I wouldn't say experience. They're just maturity.
Yeah. No,
they're just not there yet.
Yeah. That makes sense. So when we talk about that and we talk about like scent and all of these different things, how critical is ground scent for you? Or have you established an access that it typically doesn't cross their path?
I don't go too in depth with like ground scent. Sometimes I've seen it matter. Sometimes I haven't seen it matter.
I would agree with that.
It depends.
Yeah.
It really depends on the deer that I'm chasing. Like this deer, I think he knew when I was in those areas. He could smell had pictures of him smelling me as I was, you know, the ways that I walked in front of the camera. He's collecting
as much data on you as you on him.
He probably had just as much as data on me as I had on him because I mean, I was in there so much for him. Like that's probably why I never got him. He just knew when I was in there and he's like, yeah, I'm not coming out of this bush or this thicket. He's here.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, so I mean, when it comes to like as the season kind of develops and
Mhm.
evolves. Like, how does that determine where you're hanging your stands for these deer? Like, are you like a mature deer like this? Like, obviously, you don't want to blow out their bedding in day one. Like,
Yeah.
how does that develop as the season progresses for you? You saddle hunt,
Yeah.
you said, so
Yeah.
you're very mobile. You're able to
Mhm.
get in where you want to, but obviously you've put in effort prior to the season. So, like, where does the early season start as far as hanging stands, and how does it develop as we move into like the rut and then late season for a
So
deer like this caliber?
early season, they are moving so minimal, like especially it being so hot. I mean, August, September, it's cooking
I don't
here.
know why I never want to believe it. I'm like, they've got to move.
They
Like,
do, they do, they 100% do, but you have like a couple windows at them. You know what I mean? But everything has to line, and where I hunt on with the base specifically, areas are just the areas I like to hunt are hardly ever open, so I don't get to hunt them like I do. So it's hard for me to invest a lot of early season time. So for my big bucks, I won't even hunt them. Won't even. I will go into areas, could run into a big one, but I'm glassing early season, finding the fields where they're bachelor'd up, the nice ones, and then I'm finding the food. Persimmons. There's tons of persimmons around here, and everyone always is like, I don't find persimmons anywhere. It's like I've got persimmons in like every zone on base. There's some sort of persimmon trees everywhere, and that's where I'm at. I'm hunting persimmons in whatever area is open because that's the first food source they're going to. Then the grapes, and then there's like a transition from the grapes to the white oak, and then there's a transition from the white oak to the red oak. And that normally happens in that little pre-rut between like beginning October to mid-October. They're doing that white oak to red oak switch, and that's when all the bucks start getting ruddy and tearing it up. And so as the time progresses, that's kind of how my transition goes from.
interesting. So, I mean, when it comes to like, so like early season for you is still a lot of observation and just
That's
sitting
it.
back and just
Yep.
waiting.
I'm not really
Dude,
hunting.
it's so hard
Yeah.
not because you get so excited, everybody, right?
Yeah.
And
I
then
sit way back and hunt, and it's just it sucks because it's like I want to get in there, but it's like
you
if it's a
know,
big enough deer, there's no point because if you mess it up, he's not gonna give you another chance
that's
for
maturity.
another month or two at least, anyways, till the rut happens. So it's just like rather sit back and film them and get some footage of them because that's another thing I've got into filming a lot, doing all my hunts last 3 years now are all filmed. I haven't posted anything. I got a YouTube channel that I've neglected for the
It's
last 2
hard.
years.
It's a lot of
It's so
effort.
tough,
Yeah,
so tough,
man.
especially when you're in the woods as much as I am. I just don't have the time to edit. But I've got some really cool footage from my elk hunt, the last couple solo trips I've been on. Just,
Which is wild in itself.
yeah,
Dude, yeah, that's maturity as a hunter, though. Knowing what you need to do and being able to resist the temptation in order
it sucks.
to successfully, get in on a deer later in the season. Because
Yeah.
that's that's very, very difficult. I'm somebody who does not have the patience, and I pay for it all the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I shouldn't have done that. Or I know I shouldn't do this. Here we go. Like,
Yeah.
and then you're like, why did I do that? Yeah.
So the biggest thing is also people, they're so fixated on their stands or their specific locations that they have pictures of this deer or they know where the deer comes. I mean, if it's a mature deer, one, he smelled your stand, knows that's danger. And immediately when you're talking about a deer of this caliber or bigger or, just under it, when they come into that area, they're coming into it in a manner that one, the wind is there to be, the wind's in their favor, and two, they're already eyeing up that spot to see if they see anything in there. And if they do, they're gone before you ever see them. Them deer see you way before you see them. I mean, it's just a fact.
So when it comes for you to hang a stand,
I
how
won't. I don't like cane stands.
so
I'm not a stand. I just straight saddle hunt.
So you saddle hunt. So whenever it comes to you getting into a tree, I mean, what's an ideal scenario for you? Are you looking for cover within the tree
Yeah,
big time?
big time.
And then, I mean, I'm assuming with that, you're limited on your shot opportunity. So you really have to be strategic in the way you
Yeah,
place.
in it.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And also, like sometimes going into those areas, my ground sense screwed up areas a couple times just because trying to find that right tree that I have enough cover.
Right.
And I get up there, and maybe it was an extra 10 minutes it took. And then after, it happens sometimes. So I said, ground sense like sometimes it's got me, sometimes they don't care. It just all depends on the deer, the maturity of the deer, and if, how it's coming into that area. Is it on edge? Is it
I would
chasing?
imagine too, it has to do with how, like, where specifically you are in relation to where they typically
Associate
live.
danger too.
Yes,
On top of it, if you're
exactly.
nowhere near it, nah, they don't give a crap. But if
Right.
they associate danger anywhere near that area and catch that ground scent, fresh ground scent,
Right.
then absolutely you're
Yes.
going to be on edge. But
Yes.
if it's an area that they don't associate danger with, I don't think it matters.
Right. I think that's
They're
where
not on edge.
I think that's the difference between like ground scent in a field versus
Mhm.
ground scent like specifically closer to them in the
Yeah.
woods. There's a big difference. You'll
Oh,
notice
yeah.
they're way more laid back, like when they hit your ground scent in an open field where they can see everywhere. Where they're just kind of cruising through versus, you know, you're in kind of a core area that they travel through and they hit it and they're like, yeah, something's off, buddy.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So you're big on cover and whatnot whenever you get into a tree. What about height wise, or is height dependent upon cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like really going too high because I had an accident a couple years. I fell out of that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
So man, it was just all the freaking stars aligned in my favor for that day. So, I shot a buck. It was a goofy one. Had 4 points on one side and a big giant spike like that big on the other side. And how he was walking in made it look like he had trash. It was last light. And I was like, man, dude, there's something crazy going on in this. Like, don't know how big he is. And this was in 22, I think. It's 3-4 years ago. So I shot him. I was taking my lineman's belt and clipping it back on in a self-locking carabiner, and it clipped onto my loop, but it didn't snap seat. So when I took off my tether, I grabbed the pine branch to step off the platform. Pine branch broke. I slipped back. That thing came unpopped and
Hold on. Didn't you break your?
yeah, shattered my ankle.
Oh, that's right. Because me and Joe talked
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Oh, dude, I forgot
And then he
about
came
that.
out there.
He
I
had to
crawled
come-
out of the woods, and dude, he was making. He's like, "Come on, cripple!" And as he's dragging my deer, and I've got he's like, "Dude, we gotta get to the hospital now because my ankle's like off to the side." I'm like, "We're getting everything out of here. I'm not coming back." And he's like, "We can leave it." I was like, "No." I was like, "You get the deer. I will carry my gun, my pack on my back as I crawl out of here." You know,
Oh, dude, I
he was
forgot about
brutal
that.
to me during that.
I do not doubt that. What a good dude. That's a good friend, man.
Great friend,
Willing
great
to
friend.
come out, drag your deer for
Yeah.
you while you have to crawl your way out of the woods.
Yeah.
Dude, what good stories you guys have, man.
I've got tons.
We have to do an episode like with the three of us so that we can go back and forth because he brought up some good ones and I totally forgot
There's some
about
great
that.
New York
Yeah.
trips
Oh,
and
dude.
stories up there of yeah, there's some great ones.
Hey, dude. So and you specifically saddle hunt, like that's been
Yeah.
your go-to? Like
Yeah, I quit putting up stands when I did that year in preparation for him, and it just blew out that area.
So
I just kind of quit with stands because I mean, all it is smart deer see that, and I mean, if you're gonna put a stand up without climbing sticks or a ladder, that's cool. I mean, but they see the ladders, the climbing sticks, that, and they're gonna come over and they're smell it. They're gonna smell you. And they're going to know your scent. And so that next time maybe you do walk through and leave that ground scent, they're associating that to that stand.
gotcha.
So that's just kind of, and I think that's what happened to me that year. And so I just strictly went to saddle hunting. I'm not prepping with stands. I'll prep trees. Like I'll go in the summer or after season, I'll prep a tree that I want to saddle hunt, you know, shooting lanes all out of the area, but I'm not hanging anything out of it.
So what's your reason for the saddle versus not? I mean, because when you look at it now, when it comes to like stand selection, they're just as light as a saddle setup. You just like the idea of standing and utilizing the tree as cover for you.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That makes
I
sense.
shake a lot.
Okay. So
My leg gets jamming, and when my leg gets jamming, oh
yeah. So you fidget then too.
yeah.
Okay. Because I like the concept because I go back and forth. I kind of run like a hybrid setup, right? I run a hang on. I don't pre-hang anything, but I carry like a little XOP retrograde and I like sitting. But I also like the idea of being able to use a tree in front of me for cover based off the scenario. But I'm like, oh, I move a little bit more in a saddle. I sit, I'm a little bit stiller when I'm sitting, but then I've got the tree for cover. So I go back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really found.
That's why the tree selection is so important.
Yeah.
If you're a fidgeter like I am, I'm a huge fidgeter, especially when a big buck comes in like, man,
No, you
I'm
know what
going.
mine is?
I'm
Mine is
going.
when there's nothing happening and I'm just sitting there moving around, looking around, and then something comes in and picks me off.
Yeah.
That's where I end up.
It's all about that tree
It
selection.
is, man.
And that's I just know myself. I know myself. I have to have, in the most backed up. And that's why, like, sometimes, like, my hunts are just straight up observation. I will tuck myself in the edge of the thicket, observing the area I want to hunt, just so I get an understanding of the area first to see where the flow of deer comes from and goes. Because I don't want to go into it unless it's, last day I'm going in there, or, I'm not really invested in the area, then I'll go straight into that spot and hunt it. But if it's an area that I know there's a big buck in, man, I'm getting as far away as I can to be able to hunt that and still watch it, just to get an idea of the flow of the deer. Because
Yes.
if you don't know the flow of where they're coming and going, and you think you do, and you're just going to kind of wing it and go up, I've done that. And the moment they blow, all that was wasted.
Heart sinks.
Yep. All that was just wasted. Instead, take a day to prep, sit back a little bit. And, it also goes into, like, if it's a crappy day to hunt, high winds, not cool, there's no fronts or anything. Like,
But
I'm not going to go,
man.
I'm not going to go waste my time. Just ain't happening.
Dude, yeah.
I used to do it. I used to just get in the woods. And now it's like getting older.
Mature.
Mature. And I just know when it's time to go hunt, when it's not. And I'll use those days as scout days. Like, why go sit in a tree and not see a deer and drive myself nuts? So when I get to this point to be able to shoot a deer like this, I'm not burnt.
Right.
I'm on the ground walking, finding the fresh sign, because that's what happened to that. So I'm trying to get better with the maturity thing.
Is that new areas that you do that? We're not talking about an area that you're planning on hunting that you're scouting, right? You're scouting out a new area, potential for future. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because I think some people take that wrong. They're like, I'm just going to get out and go see what's going on in here. And then you just walk around and blow it out.
Yeah. No, it's, I will get the most, and a lot of time the deer around here, they're not moving during daylight in the opening. So your observation shit, you might not see anything. Maybe you might see a couple yearlings or a couple does, but it at least gives you some sort of idea of where the deer are coming out of. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just to see where they're coming out of at the times. So it's like, okay, maybe I might not see that big buck come out of there now, but it gives me an idea of where they come out. So if you want to gamble and go in there and hunt that deer, at least you have a better understanding of where they're coming out. So you can set the wind up accordingly to you off of that. So maybe that next time you go in there and hunt, you got a 20-degree temperature drop. All those deer are going to be moving a lot sooner. I mean, if you got a core, in saying a couple does is, you got a general idea where deer come out of, that's just, it could be a couple bucks, could be just something. If you're going in blind, or you just have no idea the area, and you just kind of go straight into it, like I said, you could blow it out. And at least if a couple deer come out of that area and you watched it, there's a chance maybe that's where that big buck comes out of.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe it comes in the opposite direction, and you just all of a sudden you're turn around and look, and there he goes running away. That's happened too.
Oh, I feel like that happens more often than not. I'm like, man, they've set me up for failure here.
Yeah.
He just knows. So, but what about when it comes to, like, back to hanging your stand, like and you've got an idea, where you want to be, and where this deer is moving. Do you set yourself pretty far off the trail? Like,
until it's game time.
So when it is game time, like, how close are you trying to get? 30. Okay. So
I don't like to get super close to that trail, because
so
I'm willing
farther off then.
Yeah. I'm willing to, because the thermals, the swirls, I would rather get the opportunity to have a shot at them for a slim second and the wind not screw me, versus being right on top of them and, the wind swirls or something of that nature happens, and that was my only shot opportunity, caught my wind, and that's that.
That's really, really good information, because I am notorious for, I feel like I'm in a good spot, and then I set up and I'm like, dude, I'm directly on top of this thing.
Yeah.
When he comes through, like, there's no margin of error. Like, there's no room for error whatsoever based off where I'm at, from my movement to, my scent. Just, even if the wind is like just blowing a little bit, if there's any kind of backwind or anything, I'm screwed.
And that's what a lot of people screw up, I believe, is like, if you know where they're coming or going from, if you're set up right on top of it, if it's the direction of their travel, they're looking at you.
Yes.
The direction of you, from their perspective, if you don't have backdrop cover, all they see is the sky of an outline of something that's not natural. So the backdrop and the back cover is so important, especially if you're going to be hunting a trail that they're going to be moving to and from. That's why I always offset 30 yards off of it, because them bigger bucks, they don't ever walk on that trail ever. They're always off of it in the thickest portions of it going around it because they're not trying to go in the cover. If you're 30 yards offset, you're either going to be where they're going to walk right underneath, or the opposite side you'll see them go through, and then you know you for your next move where to be closer to. Because I've noticed that even though like certain trails, if most of the big mature deer, they're not even walking those trails. They're staying in the thickest portions, skirting those trails, but staying in the most cover as they can. If you're hunting on top of those trails, 9 times out of 10, even, the 2.5-year-olds or the 3.5-year-old does are going to bust you. And you're never going to see that big mature buck that's weaseling through on the sides because, the moment they blow, that dude's not coming in there anymore at that point.
Right. So
I think that's a lot of the biggest problems, people. Setting 2 on top of the trail and getting had by the 2.5-year-old or the moment they start blowing. Your hunt's not over.
How do you recover from that?
It's in your opinion? Start back over.
Basically, you need to start all over again in that.
But
not fully over, but
unless you 100% know you blew the deer out you're hunting. Yeah. Because blowing out one deer in that area doesn't mean it's blown. But I'm definitely giving it a week or two, probably 2 weeks minimum before I'm going back in there. If I blow any deer out, if I hear deer, if it's an area that I'm, hunting a big deer at, if there's deer blowing out of there, I'm just not going to hunt it for a couple weeks. I got enough areas that I can just go check out and scout or go hunt another area just to let that cool down, just because I don't want to overpressure an area. Yeah. It's bad enough as is with all the other people that hunt base and don't know what they're doing and just waltzing through. But I enjoy it. I also enjoy helping people, and like I've probably over the last, I think I started hunting base in 2017. Gosh, dude, it's almost been 10 years now. Yeah. It's crazy to think that was and over all the years of me hunting that base, I've gotten so many people their first turkey, deer. I am okay with people reaching out to me and like asking questions. I love it. I've helped out so many people over the years hunting that base because it's public land at the end of the day. And none of the deer are mine. Right. I'm not worried about other people shooting some of the deer I'm going after because, they're different caliber deer that most people care to even put the time into. And they're not gonna kill that deer. I'm not worried about it.
That's such a different level of hunting. I don't think it's considered it's arrogant. I think it's just knowing where you are in your hunting journey. How much effort you've put in, and it builds a different level of confidence in the individual. And I see that across the board with guys like you. There's dudes that it's not like a pastime. It's like, realistically, it's like a lifestyle. Yeah. The life is based around it. And you can tell, from the success rate to the caliber of deer that are killed, and what is enjoyable about it. It's the entire process versus just go out and hope, casually shoot a deer. Yeah. It's like, man, I've keyed in on this one, this deer, this is what I'm after. And everything, all plans, everything you do, all strategies based around that. Yeah. It's just a different level of individual in this.
Like I tell people all the time, January, February, March is when I do all my scouting prep work. And like, I've had a couple of people come out shed hunting with me, or, want to see how I do it. But all my true close friends know it's painfully annoying how much sheds I find and with how many people I find them. And they'll be like, how did you even see that from there? What? Like, I'm right next to you. How did you even see that? It's like, are you kidding me? And I will find them just every time in the woods. I find a shed.
Yeah, that's in
2 days ago. I found a 4-point shed, like a really nice one in the private property that I've just recently started, checking out. I was with my buddy, and it was in the dark. We didn't even have a light on. I was walking in the dark, and I just seen the white outline off to the side, and I was kind of sidestepping, looking. I'm like, man, that looks like an antler. And he's like, what? I walk over there and I was like, sure, yep, here it is.
Dude, so that's a new piece of property right now. Are you going to hunt it this year? Or are you just prepping yourself for future?
It's, I've hunted it a couple times.
Gotcha.
It's not anything that I'm overly excited or like, I got to get in here now. It's more or less like I was trying to find a place for the kids to hunt, not having to deal with the, hunting on base and going through all those procedures and this, that, and the other. Somewhere I can hang, 2-man stand or a box stand on the edge of a field and just be able to take them hunting so they can enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But there's a couple nice deer there, so I might dip into it a little bit, but there's nothing so far that's got me excited that I need to get out there. So
Right. Nice.
We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Right. So like, what are we talking about for you what makes the right environmentals, temperature, what is the right day for you to move in on a mature deer? Like because you're not just going to hunt it on a 75-degree casual day. Like, when do you decide, like, okay, I know where he's at. I know his core area. I know how he's traveling based off the history and the data that I've collected. This is him. Today's the day.
So
is it dates or is it like?
It's like dates and time frames.
Okay.
Like, I like to take the days that they daylighted, and I like to help mirror with a couple wind apps I have, as well as deer cast I use sometimes, and I'll just use them all. I'll use a bunch of different things to see, because deer cast is normally pretty good for me as far as when to do it, because like I feel like it's within 48 hours of each year of those deer coming to the some of those specific spots where they're checking for does. And I think it falls in the moon phase, falls on any
moon
barometric
phase.
pressure.
So that's Joe Long is big on the he was the one that talked to me about it.
I think it's huge on moon phase too. And I think that's just kind of where it falls down to, is you taking deer cast or taking the moon phase and taking when you've seen those deer there and where it falls right in the moon phase as where it did that year before too. And I mean, if you're hunting, honestly, if you look at it like a chess game, if you take all the data and things, you have a specific deer and only hunt them when they daylight in those certain times. I mean, all it takes is you making the shot. They're going to be there.
Yeah.
They're going to 100% be there. As long as your access is good getting there and your wind's not swirling, it's just a waiting game from there.
And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part about the whole thing.
It's only waiting for that specific time to go hunt them. And that's where so many people mess it up.
Yeah.
I mess it up sometimes.
I mean,
most of the time,
you just want to, you're like, man, you try to force the issue, right? You're like, dude, I'm off today.
Yeah.
It's some of the things kind of line up, and that's my biggest issue, right? Is just being patient enough to step back and say, it's just not the right day. Go do something else.
Yeah. You can't. Sometimes you just can't. It's like the same thing with shooting a deer and then waiting to track it. Right. You can ask Joe. I'm the worst. He's no better though.
Dude, I'm really good at that though, because I did it. Dude, I shot a really good deer in Kentucky. It's been 2 or 3 years ago, and I got down too early and he wasn't dead, and I bumped him and I could not find him. And it was like, and I made sure, dude, I overweight. I'm like, I'll go home. Like, I will do everything, but to just start trying to track that deer. Yeah. Even if I know it's a good shot. Yeah. I'm like, dude, he's getting 45 minutes to an hour at least.
Can't do it.
Dude.
I am so bad at it. And I'm trying it. And the worst part is my eyes. I've got too much confidence how well I can see in my tracking ability. I mean, I'm sure you heard some of the crazy track jobs with Joe, especially one of the deer he got. I mean, that's the farthest track job I've ever done on a deer. And it went over 1.5 miles. Just the one big giant loop on base over 3 days of tracking that deer. It was insane. That whole story was actually the most insane track job I've ever in my entire life. But I want to put my hands on those deer so bad. I've been waiting all year for that moment to put my hands on them. And it's like, there's so much emotions rushing through my mind of like, oh, man, the shot looked great. Or you know what? Even if it's not dead, I can push this deer until it's dead. And I've done that.
That's confidence right there, buddy.
I've tackled 4 big bucks in my life. Knifed them.
Bro.
Ones that I shot. Yeah. I will track them until they cannot, like how they track a doe and like run them around till they're like, 4 bucks I have in my living room. I've done that to where I pushed them till they couldn't go anymore, and we did some hand stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah. Joe's deer had that too. I got on it twice.
Was it 2 years ago?
His deer 2 years ago, yeah.
It was, right? He shot with his trad bow?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I tackled that deer too, and he kicked me in the face, and he actually got away from it. I didn't get a knife in him then, but yeah. That deer kicked me in the face when I tackled it.
Jesus, dude. So, that's a whole nother podcast. Good God, we got to do on that. Good
Yeah.
Lord, dude. So, I mean, back to waiting on, I mean, we talked about the moon phase.
Yep.
Where in the moon phase do you need to be?
You want a completely honest answer?
Yeah.
I asked Joe.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. So that
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. So
I resort to Joe.
okay. Yeah. Cause he's big on he's
Huge,
the one.
yeah.
Yeah. And we need to do an episode with him on that because it's still confusing to me.
Me too.
Like
me too. And it's like the same thing with, your shop here with like tuning bows and things like that. Joe is a guru to me when it comes to those things. And my dad never was. Like, if it worked, it works. No, I don't know why you have to have these things or that or the other. Just, you need arrows, spawn. I don't know what that is. Not important. Like, those were never nothing. And I would kill deer,
Yeah.
and Joe would, when I started to be friends, and he's just like, we got to fix your stuff. We got to fix your stuff. I was like, it works. Why? Until that one time it didn't. And I'm like, okay, let's check it out. And then he built my arrows and things. And
dude, Joe's good people, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you guys got a good group, man. Just a solid group of individuals with so much knowledge, man. That's why I kind of weasel my way into you guys. Like, hey, what's happening? What do I need to know? Answer my question on this. But yeah, because I mean, the success rate that you guys have, not only locally, but like anywhere you go, there's always good, and we're not talking about just normal, like good mature animals that are killed. Yeah, definitely a really good friend group. But yeah, that's one of my big things is like, when's the right time to move in? And are you looking, because one of the other things is like pressure. Is a high pressure, like high pressure day, massive temperature drop, like before a front moves in, after
those are my favorite times to hunt, is like the pre-fronts or like pre-rut.
Yep.
Because them big bucks, they're on their feet on those days, this, where you got a big temperature drop or the pressure's right. And if it's anywhere close to where it's ruddy for that area, then big bucks are checking those scrapes or checking those bedding areas. It's just 100% what they're doing here. And I've noticed here specifically that the rut is so weird and crazy here. Everyone's like, oh, this is a rut. This is a rut. This is a rut. No one knows when the rut is. Are you kidding me?
Dude.
The deer tell you when it's the rut.
Right.
And, for all the years I've run cameras around this area, there's different areas have different parts of the rut. That's just how it pans out. Same thing with the sheds I find on base. Certain areas, all the deer are shed by January. Certain areas hold all the way to March before when they drop it. Like, there's no specific, like, the rut's going on here right now, every year, or like this is the rut for across the board. It's different in the different areas. I've found that like certain parts of the base get turned on like October 15th. Deer are chasing hard in some of the specific areas. I mean, I've shot a couple of my nice bucks between October 15th and October 21st. I mean, bunch of bucks chasing does, grunting, snort wheezing. Like, that is that first amped up in some of the areas. I'm not going to, say certain spots because like, I don't need a bunch of people in those certain spots. Cause I do know certain zones on base when the rut is actually happening, and it changes all the way through January. I've got late December videos of deer of chasing by, it's just, you need to be in the spot when it's going on then. And being able to find that spot is so tough.
That's the battle.
So tough.
That's the battle.
And when you find that pocket though, you found it.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I didn't have much time to hunt, so I wanted to maximize my hunt time when I was out there. And I only wanted to get up in the tree to like 8:30, just kind of an observation sitting way back. Didn't see a deer. And if I would have went to where I wanted to, man, it's a pocket. And I mean, I don't know the deer in the area. I have no specific deer in there I'm chasing, but it's just a open, you look at it on a map and be like, I don't know, maybe. But on the ground, just how the terrain lays out, the imagery doesn't show very well what's actually on the ground there. But man, it's just a sick travel corridor in between two bedding areas. And in between that, there's, every 100 feet in that clear-cut opening that has young oaks growing up through it. So there's a lot of natural cover all through there, and there's big mature oaks with oaks falling all over in there. And it's just kind of in the center of like this little corner pocket between all the bedding, and it looks like they just comfortably move around in that all day long. And I found that after I got out of the tree, and I was like, oh, heck yeah, dude, this is a zone.
Yeah.
20 plus scrapes right there in that little pocket, rubs on every tree that can have a rub on it, from this size down to, stubble. And I was like, yeah, there's definitely got to be a good one in this area. And, it ain't open today. It ain't, or tomorrow. So that's another struggle for hunting on base, is you just never know what's going to be open until that night before. So that's another reason why I put so much prep work, and why prep work is so important is, I don't get to hunt whenever the heck I want in the area I want, because training takes, precedence for the base. It's training base, got it. So you don't know when you're going to be able to hunt next, and you got to have calculated, attacks when you want to go and hunt specific deer. And if you don't have it, you're going to blow your shot.
Right. Yeah. So when do you know you need to back off?
When I stop seeing deer.
So when you normally see deer in an area and then it starts to slow, you're like, okay, I need to back out of
Too
here and
much
give it
pressure,
some time.
Yeah. Because I'll hunt it 2-3 days straight, a certain spot, not the same tree. I'm also very picky about that. I don't like hunting the same tree, just because you never can account for deer that you don't see or hear that may have seen you in that tree. So I like to just bounce around tree to tree and not be in the same. I mean, that's complacency to me.
Yeah.
You hunt the same tree, like if you're hunting a specific deer, I mean, you got to change something up. You got made by some sort of deer or animal there, I believe, in some time frame that you don't want to get busted when that big buck's coming by that deer that's seen you in that spot.
Right.
So if you're just constantly moving around, you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah,
it's a pain in the butt, though. I hate it. Goes into that prep work and things like that, having multiple trees prepped in areas so you can move around. I'll go back to that same tree that I hunted 2 or 3 days before, but not back to back.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's a pretty good approach.
Yeah.
And then again, like you said, it comes down to not being complacent, because it's so easy. Like, especially whenever you've been hunting hard, you're like, just here we go. We'll get up here. And
I don't know how many times I've done that. And it's just like, and then deer blows at me.
It's always
like,
after the fact, because you shouldn't do it, and you still do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, great. This was the day.
It's like when your parents tell you, don't touch the stove, sweetie. It's hot. Yeah. And you're like, whatever. How hot?
Yep. Nope. I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. Dude. So, all right. When are you sitting, like right now? We're in, when are we? November 20th. Oh, look, my trail cameras are all going off right now.
Yeah, mine have been going off now too. And I've been looking over my phone, seeing pictures and stuff.
What's the strategy for today? Are you hunting today?
So that private, I was out there yesterday. I did a full perimeter walk of it yesterday, and I found a bunch of places I want to put some cameras, and I bought a couple cameras last night. So I was just going to go out, throw out some more cameras, because I've got so many cameras I can't run on base anymore.
Yeah.
There's 150 acres, the private. So, I mean, it's a good chunk to put some of my copious amounts of trail cameras I have out there. So, but I think that's what I'm going to do after today, after we're done here, is just go out and just put some trail cameras out there to see what's out there.
I had a bunch of deer daylight yesterday.
Yesterday?
On camera, yeah.
I didn't have any. I didn't have any here in this state.
Yeah, I had a 2 or 3 or 2 yesterday daylight, right at like pretty early, like 30, 45 minutes before sun went down. So I'm trying to determine what my move is today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, dude, this time of year, you just gotta get in the woods.
Yeah.
You never know when there's going to be a hot doe coming by, because also you got satellite bucks. Like, I don't know how many times in core areas that I've hunted, just a random toad come through, like, dude, one day or 2 days. And it's just like, where did you come from? And he's from miles away, probably. Bro. I actually have a story of a deer like that is just an absolute freak that I had on camera, and he would only show up once or twice a year during that time that he was looking for those does, and I had pictures of this deer 3 to 4 miles away where he lived at.
So this is an impressive deer for me here in North Carolina. Okay. So this dude came through.
Oh, heck yeah. That's impressive anywhere. I don't care where you say. That's close to 130 inch 8 point right there.
Dude. And I'm like waiting, trying to bide my time for this thing. And I'm still, that's the one I've been waiting on here. And, you know, I've only seen him once.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, when is this dude? Is he gonna like, is he gonna come back through here? Like, I've only seen him one time and it was from a distance. So that's what I'm trying to.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good buck.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know, man.
How big is the piece that you're hunting on?
So I got a couple pieces. That piece is let's pull it up real quick and see. It's a couple different that run together, but it's 70.
That's a decent little, so it's a decent
70
little,
acres.
Okay. It's a decent little bit of property.
Yeah. Yeah. It's 70.
So you think he's staying on that?
I don't know.
70 acres?
I feel like he's just cruising through it, coming off of another property. And cause there's a doe bedding area that's off to there where they're kind of moving through and they're bedding, and he travels that, transition line, right? It was a clear cut and then it's woods, and he's traveling right along there. And I've only seen him through there a handful of times, mostly at night. Yeah. And I'm just trying to figure out what the move is in order to get on him. And you know,
them ones are tough.
They are. And because I'm limited to the property that I can access, right? Like I can't just like, I know I probably need to be further up this way and access from this side of the property, but it's somebody else's property. You can't do it. So you got to kind of that's where the patience side is so difficult.
And it is, especially if you have a deer that does daylight. I mean, they daylight, they do. They come through your property during daylight, but do you know when he's coming through? And do you know where?
Right.
Do you have any of that? Like if you don't have any of that, then you know you're still trying to piece together the puzzle. But the moment you get that first picture of daylight of, you know, that's when it all starts. You got to be in there day before that day and the day after that next year. You know,
so you're logging all of that.
Oh yeah.
So how do you log it?
I just write it down.
You just write. You got paper everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's in my Marine Corps. The green
books?
The green monster.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you go back and you just reference that based off dates, and you're logging wind, like
all of it,
everything.
Yep.
You got a data book specific on deer. I like
if I'm going down, that thing's getting burned. No one's getting it.
Taking it with you. All right. Dude. So last question, right? We've kind of keyed in how you target, when it starts, what a target buck looks like for you. And then, you know, strategy as far as setting up their core areas where you go. Like right now, like when are you hunting like all day sits? Is it only during the rut? And then when are you doing mornings and when are you doing evenings?
Right now is weird. I just do it off of how cold it is. Because I've already hunted New York and I've got to hunt cold weather. Yeah. So I don't want to hunt no warm weather anymore. So now I mean, they move better in the cold weather. And right now, all my cameras around here, there's some day movements, but not as consistent as the colder days. So if it's a warm day, I'm scouting. Okay. I mean, I'm bringing a gun. You never know what you're going to see in the woods, but most of the time, this time of year, if it's not cool, like the other morning, it was like 30 in the morning, and then the very next morning, it was like 55 or 60 in the morning. Yeah. And that was the morning I got to hunt, and I'm like all bundled up, ready, expecting 30. And it was like 60. Yeah. It wasn't good. Yeah. Dude, I had way too many thermals on. I was upset.
You know a temperature that's difficult? 40 degrees.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
It's a weird middle ground. Yeah, because like I'm either overdressed or underdressed. Yep. Like,
and it all depends on how far you got to walk.
Exactly.
Because if you ain't got to walk far, I'll overbundle. But if you got to walk far, you got to roll the dice there. You either got to strap some stuff on your pack and try to walk in light. And then when you get there, bundle it up. Yep. And then even so, sometimes getting up the tree is enough just to cook me enough that I start sweating. And it's just like, I hate that. Yeah, 40 is a rough one. Because also with your hands. Because, like, I don't know. Like, I typically, you know, I like to have gloves on. Or, excuse me, I don't like to have gloves on. So, like, if it's 40 degrees, for the most part, I kind of got to have some sort of little gloves. Because with the self-filming and everything, I've done it before. Not, you know, I've got my little hand warmer, but your hands get caught outside of those hand warmers sometimes 10, 15 minutes messing with cameras and things. And it's like, can't feel my digits.
Now I can't manipulate this thing like I need it to. Oh, dude. So
fingers freezing up and it's just like,
just hit the record button. Dude. So I always run a thin glove on my left hand that I hold the riser with, but I never run anything with my release hand because I cannot, and I don't, and I can't wear anything on my face either.
Nope.
Like,
I don't either.
as far as
I'll face paint before I wear anything on my face.
Me too, because like as far as anchoring goes, like I can't do it with a glove and with a face mask. Like it just doesn't work for me. Yeah. So All right, last question. White light, red light. We had the discussion already. This has been, dude, I don't know why, but I didn't realize that there was so many different answers to this from so many different hunters, and everyone's different. What's your approach, red light versus white light, when making entry to a stand?
It all depends where I'm at. I'm based. You got to use white light. So
if you
use
have
the white
the choice.
light. If I had the choice, I'm no light or red light. I'm trying to get in there without any light at all. And it comes into the prep work. Like, as long as you have lanes that are prepped that for you to walk, you shouldn't need a light.
Right.
I mean, you should know where you're going.
Dude.
Shouldn't need a light, you know?
I don't know.
Like,
Navigating
I feel like that's
dark.
a complacency thing. Like, you're using the light to help you get to somewhere you should know where you're going.
So you believe in, you need to be, it's familiarization with where you're at. You should already have a pretty much a lockdown and understanding of that property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, then yeah, you got to use the light. And I think it just all depends. I mean, like I've white lighted going in areas crazy and still end up killing a big buck that morning or something of that nature. It happens.
Right.
But I'm not using a light if I don't need to use the light. I only use it if I need to.
Yeah. So you're doing everything you can to minimize your footprint and your, how you encroach on an area. Yeah. Stealthy as possible. I like
stealthy
it,
as I can.
I like that, dude. That's me. I'm the red light guy, but like didn't put the effort in. And now I'm tangled up in like this briar patch.
Oh, it happens so
much. And it's
much.
ripped my sticks off my, my stand that I'm carrying in.
I've gotten in fights with bushes, crawling under things. Like, we're fisticuffing at like 4 a.m., 4:30 in the morning. And like, if I had a GoPro rolling or someone was like a fly on my shoulder watching what I'm doing, I'd be like, what's going on, dude? It's just a mini temper tantrum. Don't mind it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Like, does this dude actually kill anything? That's what I feel like sometimes going in. And because like I said, if it's a brand new area that I've never been, like, and I'm starting my day early and I'm going to go like, just do like an observation sit and like an area that's new, I'll white light in. But for the most part, dude, I'm a red light guy. That's just how I roll. But I still notice myself navigating the woods in the dark is difficult.
It's way different. If you're not used to walking in the dark, everything looks completely different.
Yes.
So different. And that's where I think differentiates me from some certain folks is you can find certain things in the dark if you can associate it to, you know, with daylight, like certain trees, there's certain things that do certain things. As long as you see those certain things, you know you're on the right track. It's confidence.
Yeah.
Just have confidence in where you're going.
Dude.
And identifiable terrain features.
Dude, which it makes a big difference. Identifiable terrain features, which is difficult here because it's flat and everything looks the same. But so like real quick story, like I just killed a deer in Kentucky. It's been a couple weeks ago, but I pre-hung my stand the night before because I knew that's where this deer was traveling. I came in, I found him after 3 days. It took me a day and a half to kill him. And I pre-hung my stand that night. I bounced out of there. I went down this drainage ditch. My access was back up this drainage ditch. Perfect.
Yep.
I get in there and with red light, I'm sneaking up in there. I can't find my damn tree. I'm like, bro, I was just here. The tree is literally 8 feet to my left. And I'm standing there looking around everywhere. I'm like, bro, I'm going to be here in gray light. And when the sun's coming up, and finally I found the damn thing, but I did not want to over encroach or over penetrate by any means whatsoever. And I did, and it was only by probably 10 yards. But I was like, bro, if I just blew it because I just over encroached on, I'm going to be so angry.
And that's one of those things you sit there in the stand for the next hour before, as you know, waiting for the sun to come up. You're just like beating yourself up. Like, oh, what did I just do? Are we serious right now? My ground sense everywhere. Now that deer's going to come walking right through there and smell it and I'm cooked. And it's just like, oh,
that
I know exactly what you mean.
Dude, so that
happens. It does. Hey, it even happens to me. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're, you know, lucky this, lucky that. How does this, how does that? Sometimes I get bamboozled sometimes. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
It's the nature of the beast, man. You're trying to beat something at its own game and, you know, that lives out there and that's its home and you're trying to come in and
I mean, no one knows it better than them.
That's right.
And the moment you slip up, man, it's just how it's nature of the beast. They're going to know.
That's it.
You know,
they are. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I mean, tons of information. We're definitely going to have to, come back and do some more episodes, because you guys have, between you and Joe, man, the amount of knowledge and things and just success rate that you guys have is pretty astronomical. But you know, again, you're a great resource for a lot of people, and you've got a YouTube channel that you're neglecting, which you need to stop neglecting and stand it up. Like, if people want to reach out to you, man, and they've got questions, what's the best way to contact you?
I mean, Facebook honestly is the best way. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty open. It's a pretty open platform, and I'm on that quite recently. Quite often.
Quite often.
Quite often. Yeah. So
it's just Ryan Dole.
Yep.
On Facebook, dude. I mean, I encourage you guys. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and like some of his stories and the amount of deer and the mature deer that he's killed all over are pretty incredible. And this story in particular with this deer, I mean, how many sheds do we have? How many years of sheds?
Well, 4 years of sheds. And if you count the year he died, 5 years.
5 years. And he was aged at 9.5 years old. I mean, that just shows how persistent you are. I mean, because most people aren't willing to dedicate that time that amount of time to one.
Well, I mean, I found his sheds every year, the year I hunted him anyways, up until when he died. At least one side. I found, you know, the lesser of the sides, you know, kind of stinks.
Right.
I wanted this side over this side, but you know what? At least I have every year that I was after him anyways. And it's only because how well I knew him in the area where he was at, time in the woods. But I really appreciate you having me as well.
Dude, great, man. And like I said, if there's anything anybody takes from this episode, it's the amount of effort put into prior to the season kicking off. So if you
guys, all starts after January.
That's it. So you heard it from the man himself. If you want to get in, you want to hunt mature deer, you want to be successful on them, start early, figure out the areas you need to be in, and be patient.
That's it.
Be patient. Cool.
Patience.
That's a tough one, man. I'm still working on that one. But Ryan, again, man, I really appreciate you taking the time, and looking forward to doing another episode with you.
Can't wait.
Good deal. That's it, guys. Another episode of The American Bow Hunter, the official podcast of PSE. Drop some comments, give us some feedback. Let us know your thoughts. What tips, what tactics you have for those, that are specifically targeting a specific buck. Drop them in the comments, give us some feedback. As always, appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode.